What's a day in the life like now of Bruce Arians in retirement? Like, take us through a day. What are you doing?
Get up whenever, unless there's the early tea time. I don't go with the early tea times anymore.
Yep.
Get up whenever and go play golf, have a cocktail, have another cocktail, and go play golf again.
Scoop City is brought to you by Thursday Night Football on Prime Video. Hi, everybody. I'm the Athletic Senior NFL Insider, Dianna Russini.
And I'm Chase Daniel, played 14 years in the National Football League.
They will not die. They will not go down. Your Kansas City Chiefs, man. They
The
figure
Chiefs is
out
the Chiefs.
a way.
Always. It's insane. No, they're
I'm
not
at a
lucky. Anyone out there. That's ridiculous. They're not lucky. They're really well coached.
I obviously don't root for or against any team as a journalist, but I associate certain teams with certain people now in my life, and I associate the Chiefs with you. So it's like every time the Chiefs pull something off, I find myself being like, and Chase wins again. And Chase wins again. And here he goes.
You know what? Tom Bahali got honored, and we were talking a little bit off camera about these. I got invited back to a Kansas City Chiefs Legends event this past week. I couldn't go because I was getting honored by the SEC. I actually totally forgot that. So sorry. But yeah, it's good. Chiefs, 3 years a month. Yeah,
and Sam Darnold's just rolling again. The Minnesota Vikings just putting on a show again against Kirk Cousins. We're going to dive into some of the good bets and the bad bets highlighted throughout the NFL season, right? Because we know this isn't all just small picture stuff. These were decisions that were made, whether it was in the offseason, maybe early on, for a lot of these teams to find the success they're having. So we're going to look back a little bit on some of that and make a decision. Was this the right way to do it? Or was this just a bad luck, a bad move? So we'll get into that. And then I thought I'd have an old friend on the show. Bruce Arians, obviously everybody knows him. He was the former Tampa Bay Bucks head coach, Super Bowl winning champ with Tom Brady. He coached with the Arizona Cardinals. I think more the younger crowd probably knows him more from the meme of his head just like swifting really quickly. I thought we'd have him on Scoop City just so we could tap into his quarterback knowledge. Obviously, this is someone that has spent time around Ben Roethlisberger, Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, some of the greats. So I thought let's bring him on to talk about these young rookies and what he's seeing good and bad from them. So he'll join the show in just a few, but let's get right to it. We got some news. Here's what I'm hearing around the league. All right, Chase, I know that you're not a very big betting man, not because you don't like to bet, because I do find you just to be rather cheap. But for your cheapo ass,
true.
I thought we put together this fun little, no, you're smart. I need to learn more from you. I thought for this exercise, we just kind of go through some of the stories from the weekend and decide if these teams made a good bet on something or someone or an idea or a bad bet. And I want to start with the Vikings, right? What Sam Darnold has been doing. We've seen him in this Kevin O'Connell program absolutely connect and really bring out the best in Darnold from what we've seen when he was with the Jets and the Panthers. It's almost like, who is this person, right? So the Minnesota Vikings move on from Kirk Cousins. They've got their eyes on Sam Darnold this whole time. They sign him for a 1 year, $10 million deal. And I remember breaking that story thinking, $10 million is a lot for Sam Darnold. Like, what do they know that I don't know? Well, guess what? They know a lot. So looking back on that, moving on from Kirk Cousins and going with Sam Darnold, good bet.
I mean, it was a good bet. I mean, obviously it was a good bet. Look at how Kirk Cousins is playing this year and what's happening down there in Atlanta. He's sort of falling apart. Although I did think Kirk played, other than the interceptions, pretty good. But look, in my opinion, what Kevin O'Connell is doing this year with $10 million Sam Darnold, one, it's completely resurrecting Sam Darnold's career. Sam Darnold's going to get something of the rounds I would expect of a Baker Mayfield type contract, right? Well, you sort of see these middle tier contracts disappeared. They're starting to come back, and I think it's smart for teams because you don't have to pay every single quarterback $60 million that's just up next just to do it. So I think something like that we've heard. Now, I don't know if they're going to re-sign him, but you just look at their season, right? They've won a lot of games. And in my opinion, when I look at this whole season as a whole, I have Jared Goff in the top 5 of my MVP voting. If Jared Goff is top 5 of my MVP voting, you got to put Sam Darnold in the same category. as Jared Goff. 1, he has more passing yards. 2, he has more passing touchdowns. 3, his passer rating is just a point below Jared Goff. When I go back and study it, I'm like, why am I not giving Sam Darnold more love? Well, it's almost like everyone wants him to turn back into the old Sam Darnold that he has.
Yeah.
He's got Kevin O'Connell. He's never had Kevin O'Connell his entire life. Jordan Jefferson finally got 2 touchdowns. First ones, I think, since October 24th, before Halloween, October 20th, whatever it was. Jordan Addison caught 2. I mean, this team is rolling. They hit a little bit of a stretch in the middle of the year where Sam Darnold was pulling out some wins. They weren't playing well, and that defense wasn't getting as many takeaways as they were. But I have Sam Darnold squarely in the MVP conversation. Now it's at the bottom half of the top 5 list, but you have to put him up there. You have to give the quarterback love of a team that is what they are right now.
Well, I can tell you they're going to try to retain Sam Darnold. We both know that it's going to probably be too competitive and he's going to cost a lot of money. And we know that the plan here is J.J. McCarthy. So I look back on this, and it's my question for you, Chase, is do you think that they should have signed Sam Darnold to a longer deal? Remember, when they signed him, we didn't know that J.J. McCarthy was going to get hurt. We just thought that this was going to be a 1-year veteran quarterback situation where he'll come in here, maybe help out the rookie. And then if you remember when we were talking about this in the summer, no one was really giving us a clear answer as to who was going to be the starter, right? Like we kind of assumed it would be Darnold just because he had the experience, but JJ had looked so good this summer. So looking back on it, you know, the Vikings are going to need a veteran quarterback coming up. With JJ coming off this injury, and you have to wonder, you know, where they're going to look for one, because there's going to be a lot of teams looking for vets, right? You've got the Jets, the Giants, the Raiders, the Browns, the Saints, the Titans. They're all going to need veteran quarterbacks. So we'll see how they'll be able to figure that out, because they're going to need somebody there.
But yeah, I don't think you can look back and say that they should have signed him to a longer-term deal, because no one knew what Sam Darnold was going to do in Kevin O'Connell's system, including Kevin O'Connell, right? He spent last year with the 49ers, and the jury was still out. I mean, really, I wouldn't even say the jury's still out. People had like sent Sam Darnold to the other room. Like, you're out of here, you're a backup, you're not a starter. And look what he's doing. They're winning multiple games because of him. You can't tell me that you expected this when you get rid of Kirk Cousins and now you're 1 game behind the 1 seed, really. And it's really a masterful season from Sam Darnold and the Vikings.
Yeah, and you look back at that time during that free agency, and I wrote about it over the weekend in my column, just looking back at what was going on in the Vikings building as they were trying to figure out, okay, Kirk is 36. He's coming off this injury, but he knows his system. O'Connell and Cousins had a great relationship, and there was definitely a feeling of, come on, like we gotta stick together. We gotta make this work. And Kirk is a businessman, and he wanted the longevity, and he wanted to be the answer for a team. What he didn't want was a rookie quarterback. And then he goes to Atlanta, and it lasts less than 60 days, right? And then Michael Penix Jr. comes in, and we're going to watch this situation evolve. You know, everything that I've been told is they really want to stick with Kirk here and not put Penix out there for now. This could change. Nobody has said, like, this is completely off the table. We're not going to play this kid at all this year. No. But you're looking at what the Falcons did, right? 4 years, $180 million, $100 million in guaranteed money. They're 6-7 on the season. They are not getting what they signed up for right now. Okay, they started off hot, but this is not what they wanted. And the schedule's pretty favorable, though, right? They've got the Raiders coming up. They've got the Panthers. They've got the Commanders. But these guys are reeling. Do you think that they need to go to Penix now?
No. And
why?
He's thrown 8 interceptions in the last 4 games, all 4 losses, right? You look at that. When you look a little bit deeper, 5 of the 8 are probably his fault that he wants back. And the others are just trying to make a play at the end of the game. However, I thought it was interesting when head coach Raheem Morris said this weekend that they weren't really looking at benching Kirk Cousins at all, and that Kirk Cousins has their full support. And I'm thinking, like, to myself, I'm like, well, Michael Penix is on the bench. Like, you got to go out and play him. And I was like, well, actually, I've come sort of full circle. It's like, yeah, he's not playing well. You don't know what you have in Michael Penix. You are right in the thick of the NFC South race. You know what Kirk Cousins is, and I don't think you take the 4 games that he's played and use that against him. Now, I will say that today and yesterday, that after the game, they are looking at every possible. They have to be. Raheem Morris cannot believe his comments in the media if they're not in there with offensive coordinator Zach Robinson, quarterbacks coach, right? All those guys and himself saying, who gives us the best shot to win? Because that's ultimately what it should come down to. Forget about the money. Who gives us the best shot to win? I personally, right now, I think that it's Kirk Cousins. When you put a rookie in, people are forgetting about this, Diana. You as a rookie and you as a second string quarterback, you don't rep the offense. You rep the scout team offense. So if the Falcons are playing, who are they playing? The Vegas Raiders this next week. Michael Penix Jr. is running the Raiders offense. He's not running at any point in this season. He hasn't run their offense. It's been since training camp that he's got to run the Falcons offense. So that you need to take that into account as well. I think for the time being, unless they lose another one or it looks really bad, they got to continue to play Kirk.
Yeah, and just looking at the 3 games for Kirk Cousins, he's got an 11-1 touchdown to interception ratio. In his other 10 games, he's got a 6-14 touchdown to interception ratio. And the team has said that there have been some bad games and bad decision making that they take accountability for, that they're not blaming on Kirk, but obviously some of the mistakes that we saw, especially against the Chargers, a lot of that was on Kirk. But there are some people around the league that were just talking about how Raheem Morris has done a really good job as a head coach, though, by keeping that door shut, right? Like, you see other coaches, especially first-year head coaches, they panic, and Raheem has experience as an interim head coach before, but he's kept the door shut. He's done a good job of just trying to contain it, probably to protect Kirk too, right? Because he doesn't want to get in his head. This hasn't been the most ideal scenario going back to when this, to draft night, when Cousins was shocked, blindsided by the fact that they took a quarterback in the first round. So we'll see what they decide to do. The Pittsburgh Steelers. Are we not giving Mike Tomlin enough love? I know we talk about it a lot. I don't know. I've been really good about it as well, because I don't think we're giving enough credit for everything else that he's doing on top of,
no doubt, I agree,
the Russell Wilson situation. Russell Wilson says that Mike Tomlin is the best coach in all of sports right now. So the Steelers are 10-3. They're 2 games up on the Ravens in the AFC North. This is a team that hasn't won a playoff game since 2016, and they are gelling right now, right? They look good. Arthur Smith looks good. And what they're doing really well is they're taking care of the football. They're not turning it over. They're taking advantage of some crappy football, right? I think that's what they've done well, is they're just the better team out there. And here's what I like too, Chase. Tell me what this is, because I've observed this. They're comfortable winning close games. What does that tell you about a team, right? They keep games close and then they just figure out ways to win. What does that tell you about the makeup of a team when they're able to pull that off?
Yeah, I mean, look, the character team is through the head coach, and that's Mike Tomlin, and just what he brings to the table. I think he's definitely not getting enough love, but I feel like the Steelers have always been this, and I don't have to feel, they have been this gritty team that's always really close, but have never had the offense to really take them to the next level after Ben Roethlisberger was gone. And you look at what they're doing right now, specifically with Russell Wilson. I think they're averaging like 28.5 points per game when Russell Wilson's a starter. The franchise record is 28.3. So if he was starting the whole year, they would set a franchise record in points per game. That's mind-boggling. Russell's only thrown 3 interceptions this year. That's the biggest thing of Arthur Smith, the offensive coordinator's offense. Take care of the football. Let's go play action. Let's run the ball. Let's throw the ball over the top of defenses. That's the dynamic that Russell has brought to the table. So I mean, I was wrong about trying to start Justin Fields the whole season. Because look, at 4-1, 4-2, when you're the starter in Justin Fields and you're getting benched, Justin's handled it magnificently, but obviously Russell Wilson, and they're paying him like $1.25 million for these wins. I mean, who would have thought 13, I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. Who would have thought 13 games in that the Pittsburgh Steelers are starting Russell Wilson? Okay, they're starting Russell Wilson, who everyone written off in Denver. They're 10-3 in first place in the AFC North, and plenty alive for a bye. Plenty alive for a bye. Who knows what the Chiefs are going to do? That's wild to me.
And the wild part about all of this is, you just owned it. You even said, you're like, I was wrong about Justin Fields. Justin Fields was playing well.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This wasn't somebody who was horrendous. He was fine. It could have worked. Yet they knew that there was something better out there. So I think this will probably go down as one of Mike Tomlin's best coaching jobs. There was a great story on The Athletic. You might want to check that out. Our Jason Jenks wrote the piece. It was basically just an oral history of why Mike Tomlin is such a good leader. We've heard so many different stories, but they did a really good job of really diving in to discover why he's so respected and why he's had so much success over the years. Meantime, you got the Raiders. Look, they are a team that...
What's going on? I mean, gosh.
Here's what's tough, right? You look back this time last year, and they got hot late. The players were really vocal about keeping Antonio Pierce, and Antonio's got a style about him that I get it. I get why they like him. I get why the Raiders wanted to roll with him for this year. But it's not good. This isn't the same team we saw last year. And look, quarterback play, that's going to be the problem. Injuries.
So bad bet, 100%.
It's a bad bet, right? And I don't know how this is going to turn out. We got to figure, though.
You seem like you know some stuff, but you're not going to say anything. And viewers like it when I press you on stuff that you know, but you're not able to let go. Can you give me a little bit of the inner workings around what's happening with the Raiders and the coach?
Well, let's just start with the good, right? You have general manager Tom Telesco, who, from what I can gather, ownership really likes him. They like what he's doing there. But I believe that the Raiders are going to allow Antonio Pierce here to finish out the year, and then they're going to make a call on this. And look, Mark Davis really likes Antonio Pierce. He always has, but I can tell you, he does not like losing. Not like this. And I'm curious to see what direction they're going to go. And look, Tom Brady is involved in this stuff now. I think that's a factor we have to keep remembering when we're talking Raiders, as weird as it is. He's going to have an influence. And this type of losing is not going to cut it if Tom Brady wants to be part of an organization. So I'm expecting to see improvements made in this offseason for them to be a much better team, because this certainly is not what they envisioned when they decided to fire Josh McDaniel and go with Antonio Pierce here as the full-time head coach. So I would say bad bet here. How about Dan Campbell betting on his team on fourth down over and over? Good bet or bad bet?
I mean,
good bet or
it's
bad
a good
bet?
It's a good bet because they won the game. But why are you not they won? But how are you? It's just crazy that you're going for fourth down, and you could kick a field goal to win the game. And I get he wants to end the game with offense. But if they don't make that, it's just getting to a point where it's awesome. And as a team and as a player and as a quarterback, if you are on Dan Campbell's team, if I'm Jared Goff, I freaking love it. I love that you're putting the ball in my hands if you're the quarterback. However, he is the head coach. There's going to be some time down the road, unless they just keep getting lucky, that this decision is going to backfire. I just don't want it to continue on into the playoffs and him not have any recourse about it, because they went for it a couple times too in the NFC Championship game. That was whoa, it's just kick. You got to learn to kick the field goal sometimes, and it's working out in his favor. And I love Dan Campbell. I get it. However, it's a little bit of a bad bet for me.
Look, it's great when it works, right? The decision that he made last year against Dallas to go for 2 from the 7-yard line, not great. Not great. Low percentage there. So, look, he's going to stay aggressive, and I think that's what we know about him. It's probably what we love about him, too, is he knows what he is, and he's not going to probably change. Does it help? Does it hurt? Here's what he does know. He knows that he's got the team to back it up this year. So I do think it's a different situation this year than it was last year. So as long as he still wants to roll it out, I think until we're proven otherwise, we should probably say that this is a good bet that he continues to coach this way. So we shall see. What we shall see as well is what Super Bowl winning champ Bruce Arians thinks of the quarterback play right now. It's quite different than when he was coaching Ben Roethlisberger and Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning. So I want to see what the quarterback whisperer thinks of Drake May and Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. He joins the show next. All right, now joining the show, 2-time AP NFL Coach of the Year, a Super Bowl champion. The list goes on and on, actually. One of the best people I've ever met in the NFL over the years of covering it. Chase, I know you don't know Bruce, so I'm glad that you guys are here to meet each other formally here on Scoop City. So, Coach, thank you so much for joining. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Great to be on, and hope everybody's getting ready for a happy holiday season.
Yeah, it's coming quick, right? It's like before you know it, it was like, bam, we're here,
so
you know? So the story right now is Bill Belichick. I don't think anyone was that surprised that he wanted to coach. I think the surprise is that he's willing to coach on the college level, right? We just assumed, as somebody that's been as accomplished and established in the NFL space, that was where he wanted to head back. So now all this talk about possibly getting this job at UNC, just from being around him, knowing this league, what'd you make of that when you heard this?
Yeah, I was very surprised. I thought for sure he'd wait for the NFL hiring process to play out. There's some good things going back to college, but I had no patience with rookies. I damn sure don't have patience for freshmen. So if I'm going to give Bill one better bring a lot of patience with you, because now dealing with rookies who made money, but now freshmen making money, it's got to be ridiculous trying to coach those guys.
I know, at his age, that's another factor in this.
Yeah, like if he ends up going to UNC, though, that's what I was saying with his age, right? He's 72, I believe. Like, if you're a mom or dad and Bill Belichick walks into your house trying to recruit you to Chapel Hill or wherever he goes, first of all, what do you think? And second of all, he said today, he was saying about the Pat McAfee show, how he'd run it like a professional program. Do you see that sort of coming down the pipeline where all the college levels are being run like a pro level team?
Yeah, I mean, amazing to see schools hiring general managers. Andrew Luck going as general manager at Stanford.
Yes.
I mean, the college game is really copying the pros. Now, if we could just get contracts, all right, and a salary cap in college, we'd be really better off. Stop all this transferring and leaving for money every year and sign it. I think that's where it has to head.
Yeah. So one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on the show, so Chase is like our resident quarterback. He's been around all of them, and he gives us such great insight. But I know you wrote that great book of The Quarterback Whisperer because you've worked with so many great quarterbacks yourself, with Andrew Luck and Ben Roethlisberger and Peyton Manning. So you know what it's like to see the highs, the lows, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. And I wanted to just get your thoughts about the quarterback class of this year. Just kind of maybe if we could just like rip through them real fast with you, of just kind of what comes to your mind when I say each of them. Sure. Let's start at the top, right? So when you're seeing Caleb Williams, tell me what you see.
I see improvement every week. I think expectations have gone through the roof for these guys. The number one pick in the draft is not going to a world championship team. He's going to a really bad team. And along with that goes a lot of lumps. But I think he's handled the lumps really well. I see him improving each week. Tremendous talent. It's a shame that he didn't get to stay in the same system. Now he's got to start all over again. And that's what happens with most of these guys now. They're getting fired. The coordinator gets fired after 6 games, and the head coach gets fired, and he has to start all over again. And there's so much to learn. But I think he's progressing nicely.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Washington then with Jaden. What do you see here?
I mean, superseding expectations, kind of like C.J. Stroud did last year. But a young team. Dan has done a great job, I think, and Cliff too. With he's improved so much year and year after he left Arizona State as a passer. He's always been a great athlete, coming out of Chandler High, I think. And but yeah, I think he knows how to take care of himself. He's a runner, but he never gets hit very hard, kind of like Lamar.
Yes. Knows when to slide and get down. Now, call me crazy, Coach, but we got to go to New England for the next one. Drake May. I love the tape that he's putting out. I've studied him really closely. One of our guys on the show is a huge New England fan, Jeremy, and he's pumped about him. Thoughts on him, but also why not start him right away if the expectation in New England wasn't very high?
Yeah, that's always been a beef of mine. I mean, if you're drafting this guy to win now, you sit him. If your football team's ready for that. But if your team's not ready for that, get him out there. Let him get every snap in practice. Let him fail. Let him succeed in games. That's the only way I see them learning. I go back to Peyton, his rookie year, throwing all those interceptions. But by the second half of the season, those interceptions were down. And then next year, we're 13-3. But he got every single rep in practice. And Drake May, I think, he had all the measurables of other guys that came out last year. I thought you could compare him to other guys as far as measurables and his skill set. So I was a big fan of his, and I think he's going to do really good things in New England.
What do you tell a guy like Peyton when he does throw all those interceptions early in his career? Because at least for me, I've seen at least for some of these rookies the confidence issue, but it seemed like, like you said, you were 13-3 the next year. Drake hasn't thrown a lot of them, but some of these guys have thrown some picks.
Yeah, you got to learn from him, man. There's I go back to Peyton and I sitting in the red zone meeting one day, and guys crossing in this little window. I said, bro, that's wide open in the NFL. And he said, what?
Yes.
That's wide open in the NFL, especially in the red zone. They have to learn all that stuff. And the only way you learn it is out there practicing, doing it. And, yeah, you fail. Now, the fans, I think, have gone absolutely crazy with the expectation level, like I said, of these number one picks. But these guys are all talented. And I think the league's is in great shape for quarterbacks right now.
Yeah, we're still waiting to see what happens with Atlanta, them obviously signing Kirk Cousins, but then drafting Michael Penix Jr., that was shocking to everybody.
Crazy.
But they obviously see something there, and that we heard a couple teams had their eye on him, so they grabbed him. J.J. McCarthy coming off this injury, he'll flourish in a Kevin O'Connell program. We will see that, I'm sure. So that brings us to Bo Nix. And Coach, you were a lot like Sean in terms of you loved your quarterback. I mean, you're a tough love type of coach. But, man, Sean Payton has given this kid everything to succeed in terms of the mental side. What are you seeing from Bo, from your perspective, that you think Sean's probably seeing too, like, yep, we got this right?
Yeah, I think that was the best marriage of coach and young quarterback in the draft last year. I thought that was a perfect fit. Everybody wants to compare him to Drew Brees, and he has a lot of those qualities. Longtime starter in college, veteran, very, very mature young man, but he can sling it. But he's beating people with his legs too. And I think Bo and what Denver is doing, and for Jalen and Denver, and both those teams be 8-5 in the hunt with rookie quarterbacks, which no one was expecting. Those coaches deserve a hell of a lot of credit.
Speaking of some rookie quarterbacks, I've been pretty vocal in the media and on the show about the quarterback problem a little bit that we have in the NFL, and that's that we give up on quarterbacks too quickly. Coaches are worried about getting fired. There's a developmental problem, obviously, that I'm guessing you would agree with, but most notably Bryce Young, right, got benched early in the year. Then it's sort of like the year of Sam Darnold, who got ran out of town twice from different teams, and Baker Mayfield as well, all playing really well. Speak on that a little bit from the coaching, like how it has gotten away from sort of developing quarterbacks and just trying to get on to the next thing rather than stay put, let me develop you.
Yeah, I think that's a big problem with the ownerships right now. Again, their expectation level, hey, we drafted this guy number one. Well, there's going to be a lot of pain with this. Now, it's not just going to be all happy every single day. We're not coaching this guy. He's got to learn. And but for all of them, patience is the key. And with the fan base and the ownership, give them a chance to get better. Don't change systems on them. Don't fire the damn coaches that you just because the guy's struggling. He's going to struggle. Now if he's not making any progress, then you got to make up your mind. Where you're heading. But normally, that coaching staff is the one that liked the guy and drafted him. And then you're going to start all over with somebody that, man, I didn't want this guy. He's not my guy.
Exactly what's happening in Chicago.
Now you start, you're putting all the scars on the guy, and then can they overcome the scars? And they got to be pretty tough to do that. I think this last class is pretty damn tough.
Bruce, what type of owners are the best types? Like, just from all your years being in the league, you don't have to name the specific owner that you've worked for or been around that you think does it close to perfect, but maybe what are some of the characteristics that you think these guys need in order for teams to have success and for coaches to get a little bit of a leeway here?
The best owners I've been around, I never saw.
I love that. I was going to say, stay the hell out of it. Thank you.
That's true. I mean, Lamar Hunt, gosh almighty, what a gentleman and what a great owner. He knocked on the door to see if it was okay to come in the draft. I mean, I was in shock, And,
oh my gosh.
Jim Irsay, I mean, I love dearly. And I'd see him when Chuck was sick. Obviously, that year was crazy, and I'd see him every Thursday, and we'd get a health report on Chuck and a health report on the team, and then I never saw Jim till after the game. And the Glazier family, we hired you to do a job. Go do your job, and I think they've all been fantastic. The Rooney family was awesome when I worked for the Steelers. So, I think we've got a new group of owners right now that are expecting. They think this is easy. They've made a bunch of money. They're billionaires. They're not family. They're not family-owned teams anymore. They're billionaires, and they expect the quick fix. And this is a hard game to have a quick fix and sustain it.
So we're looking at the landscape right now of the potential openings, and the ones that we know now that appear to be open is in New York with the Jets. We've got the New Orleans Saints. We've got the Chicago Bears. And we're going to have to wait to see what happens with the other New York team, if Brian Daboll will stay in Dallas, if Mike McCarthy will keep his job. If you were to come back and coach, and I know right now you're enjoying life away from all of this and just observing, watching, and hanging out with us. What do you think is the best coaching position that is open now, or maybe could potentially be open? Which one would you be like, yep, I'd take that sucker?
I would. The first one I would look for is the best quarterback. And there's going to be some jobs open with some really good young quarterbacks, and that would excite me. That would excite me to ever want to go back, which I'm not doing. And but to take a team that didn't have a quarterback, now you just want to be a head coach. And that's not going to last long, probably.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn how good your defense is. If you can't score 28 points anymore, it's hard to win.
We were touching a lot on the rookies, but the quarterback that was a rookie last year and now is seemed to improve every week is Bryce Young in Carolina. Mm-hmm. And what a weird situation that's been for him too, right? They bench him. Everybody thinks that basically means that they're done with him, and then he's now improving. And it appears that maybe a little time on the bench was the right thing to do. Just from your experience, when you do that to a quarterback mentally, when you sit them and say, yeah, you're not ready yet, do you think that's the way to coach, or do you think they should have just kept him out there the whole time to just figure this thing out and work through it?
Yeah, not being there daily, that's hard because the makeup of the guy. You got to know him so well that if I put you on the bench, am I going to crush you? Am I going to kill your ego? If not, will you sit and learn? I looked at the two guys that had that happen this year, Anthony Richardson and Bryce. Now they're playing really well. Was it an awakening, wake up call? Hey, we're not satisfied with this. You got to do better. You got to put in more time, whatever it is. Not being there, but it's a fine line when you're dealing with that quarterback ego. He can't have anything in his mind clouding his judgment when that ball is coming out of his hand. Like, does coach really want me to throw this? Or I can't have doubt when I'm playing the game. The game's too damn hard.
Coach, which quarterback, because we're talking about quarterbacks now, and I wanted to ask this question since the interview started, because you seem like a pretty honest, trustworthy guy, so I can trust you here with this question. But what quarterback is driving you the craziest this year when you're watching them?
Well, he's one of my favorite guys, but Jameis. I lived a year with, and I've known Jameis since the 10th grade. He was at my football camp. I used to have a little football camp in Birmingham, and love him to death. But he is so talented, and just he can make the best throws ever, and then has that turnover problem. But if he can get that turnover problem fixed, he's still a legit quarterback in this league.
You say to fix the turnovers, but I feel like you come from that philosophy of just let's just do it. Let's just throw it up. How do you manage that? Because I've thought of that watching Jameis over the years. How do you fix this? We've seen it with other quarterbacks, Daniel Jones, Josh Allen at one point. How do you help with the turnovers?
Yeah, Byron Leftwich did an unbelievable job with Jameis that first year. 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns. Now the 30 interceptions, They were going away, then they came back. And that's the problem. When they're coming back week 14, 15, 16, 17,
Yeah.
all right, we're not learning enough. Something's not getting done here. And that's kind of what made us look behind door number 2 that year. Because we all love Jameis. We knew we're going to make him better. And we never guessed behind door number 2 would be Tom Brady, but so it's like, yeah, that again, that steady growth, a little regression, steady growth. Now cannot have total regret. You can't hit that wall. They always talk about that rookie wall. A quarterback can never hit the wall and then not play well in January and December and think you got something special.
Coach, you said Tom Brady. Take me behind, because I just think it's fascinating. He said earlier this year he almost picked the Chicago Bears. Take me behind the inner workings of recruiting the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Like, how do you get a guy like that to come play down here in Tampa?
Yeah, Tom recruited us almost as hard as we recruited him. I mean, he knew everything about us. Tom does his homework, man. And, he'd played against us for so many years. And so he knew our offense. He knew what we were doing. He knew our players. He knew the tax codes in Florida. It was on the East Coast. Everything kind of fit what he was looking for. Easy access back up to see Jack. And so, yeah, that part of it, the hardest part was COVID. We didn't have spring ball. We didn't have preseason games. And now he's learning this new offense. And like I told him, look, you're really smart, man. I can't ask 21 dumb guys to learn your offense when you're smart enough to learn what they know. And he bought right in and just did a fabulous job.
We talk about that on the show a lot, about coaches and programs forcing quarterbacks to do what the coach wants versus what they do best. Yet in this situation for you guys, for what you were doing, you made him adjust a little bit to what you were doing. And I remember before he signed there, and there was a lot of talk about him joining Tampa Bay, I remember being worried about that I don't know if this marriage between Tom Brady and Bruce Arians is going to mesh. Why do you think you meshed? Like, how did you find the spot when really you guys come from such different worlds?
Yeah, it was just, learning each other, okay, it's 3rd and 2. Tom's natural reaction, let's get the first down. We got Mike Evans one-on-one in this situation. It's not going to happen that many times in the game. Let's don't miss it. All right?
I love that.
Check it, then come back to get the first down. Everybody says we love throwing the ball down the field. Yes, we do if you give it to us. Now, we're not going to throw it down there if it's not there. Now take all your rest of your reach, check it down, do everything you want to do. And I go back to the Super Bowl right before halftime. Tom comes up, hey, we got the lead. I said, no, bro, we're rolling. And we get another touchdown. He throws it up. Mike gets a pass interference and hit AB for the touchdown. And that's how we play the game. And I think he started having a lot of fun with it.
Keeping with the Bucs before we let you go, at least this is one of my last questions. The Bucs are right now on top of a classically messy division, right? I played in the NFC South for 4 or 5 years, and it's always a close division. What interests you most down the stretch about these Bucs?
The health. Right now, the secondary, man, we got to get some guys healthy to play defense. Todd's so hamstrung on what he can do defensively, because he loves pressure. He loves man-to-man. He hardly ever plays man-to-man anymore because he doesn't have any corners. Now that with Antoine getting hurt, hopefully we get him back. But, they're scoring points. You don't have to worry about Baker's he's going to get his points. And Liam's done a great job with this offense and putting those guys in, especially with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin out, they're still scoring 28 points, So they don't have to worry about that. Just get the defense healthy so that they can protect the leads in the fourth quarter.
All right, finally, when you're sitting on the boat, by the lake, maybe in the golf cart, whatever it is that you're doing that is enjoyable to you, spending some time with the grandkids, what's the one thing about football that you're missing right now? Like, do you feel it when I know you're enjoying being away, but is there a part of it that you're like, man, just to go back there?
Yeah, the guys, locker room. The locker room, the coaches, devising game plans. And, I don't miss having a hell of a football team and all you guys getting hurt. And everybody expects you still to win.
Yep.
That wears you out mentally. And I think what just referring with Todd, right? He's doing a hell of a job with all the injuries they've had this year to be where they're at. But that I miss that the relationships. I missed the relationship with the press. I always had a great time with the press, having a lot of fun, and so it was like that part of it. But the game itself, and I damn sure don't miss referees.
Oh, so true. Wait, before we go, one more.
My blood pressure still rises every Sunday.
Referees,
sure.
man. Okay, last one for me. Sorry, I just thought of this one. What's a day in the life like now of Bruce Arians in retirement? Like, take us through a day. What are you doing?
Get up whenever, unless there's the early tea time. I don't go with the early tea times anymore. Get up whenever and go play golf, have a cocktail, have another cocktail, and go play golf again.
I love that.
Or go see the kids. Go see the grandkids.
Sign me up.
Yeah,
Bruce,
so
thank
true.
you so much for joining us and really sharing some of this insight, some of your stories. We appreciate it, and we hope you come back to Scoop City another time, hopefully next season.
Love to. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bruce. All right, Chase, it is time for our Uncrustables segment. And in week 14, we did not get disappointed by some amazing plays, situations, people, coaching decisions. So you take the floor. You can go first. You are handing out the Uncrustable to who?
Justin Herbert. Dude is an absolute competitor, super tough as they come. I mean, he got elbowed in the quad last night or 2 nights ago, and it looked like he stayed down. I thought he might have tore something, but it ended up being like just a huge like quad contusion, and he was out. And I'm like, oh man, the backup has to go in. And it looked like ribs because I was on the field, that field like 3 years ago when he went out for a couple plays with ribs, and I had to step in. I was so nervous because I was like, it's freezing cold and it's the third quarter and it's a close game. He came back in though and like willed his team down the field multiple times. He played excellent in the second half without their starting running back, without their starting receiver, who is a rookie, by the way. You go on the road to the Chiefs, and I know they lost. I get that. But just the way he played, what he means to that team, I think he's grown up a lot just from a leadership standpoint. You can see him getting his guys going, all that stuff. So he gets an Uncrustable for sure.
I'm sure you do this too. I think about football, obviously, pretty much all day long, but always at weird times I have these thoughts. And I was making my bed really early this morning, and I was thinking, can you imagine the Chargers with a better roster? Like, what are they going to be? We're going to be talking about
weapons.
them.
Yes.
It's going to be awesome over the next few seasons because these are the best vibes I've gotten from LA in a while in terms of the direction they're in. And obviously, it's all credit to their head coach, but certainly their quarterback here, he is bringing out the best in Justin Herbert for so many reasons, on top of the fact that Justin's just so naturally talented and so damn tough.
He is, though. It's wild.
I don't know how. I can't wait to talk to him in the offseason because I just want to find out, like, where does that come from when you're that tough and pain doesn't bother you? Where are you getting that from? Because that's not every quarterback. We know that.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right? All right, my Uncrustable goes to whoever paid for that plane to fly a Fix the Dumpster Fire banner over MetLife. Look, I know that's cheap. The plane probably wasn't cheap, but it is so bad in New York right now between the Jets and the Giants, and obviously the Giants aren't much better. We could probably debate a whole show which situation is worse. And I've heard some stories too from people around the league about things that are happening behind the scenes in New York with the Giants, and it just is not good. And we all said it when John Mara came out and blessed his head coach and GM and gave him that vote of confidence. We knew this would happen. And we talked about this exact thing. What happens if it's bad in the end? And no owner wants to be embarrassed, especially John Mara, and to have that plane flying around. Uncrustable, yes, but that stinks for the Giants organization that really they don't want to be embarrassed and humiliated at this point.
Yeah, no, I got you. I have actually, I wasn't going to do this, but I just thought about it. I have an Uncrustable that goes to Juan Soto. So, are you a Yankees fan or a Mets fan?
What? You know I'm a Yankees fan. You saw me freak out in the hotel lobby. Remember?
That's why I said that. So you're a Yankees fan.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your best player going across to the Mets. And oh, by the way, it's a 15-year, $765 million deal. It averages out to $1 million per week for 15 years. $1 million. How are you feeling?
I feel terrible for the New York Yankees. I feel even worse for the Washington Nationals, right? Because this is like the third example of a player that they've drafted that was homegrown that they lose, right? Bryce Harper was another one. Obviously, he's in Philly now. The Nationals had these guys, and they didn't retain them, and now they're going off to be
but also
superstars,
like the
making all
Yankees,
this money.
you offer him $16 million for $760, and he got $15 for $765. Of course, he's going to take the last years with more money. Come on.
I got to tell you, like all that
It's an
news was
embarrassment.
breaking during, obviously Football Sunday, and I very rarely like veer off my football track when I'm watching games and I'm texting and talking to you guys about the show. I was all over the Juan Soto stuff.
Broke Sunday night too.
It did.
Crazy.
I couldn't get enough of it. Also, it's just fun, especially as an insider, to not be part of it and watch how it unfolds in other sports and just that little inside baseball world. So, I want to give it Uncrustable, and it has to be grape because he doesn't eat strawberry. To Tom Brady. What a great job. I know that he's taken some criticisms in the broadcast booth. It is a hard job, and he had a really good game. Our Richard Deitch wrote a great piece about how this was
sequence.
Yeah, he did a good job with the time
nailed
management, calling the quarterback sneak. He was really good. So credit to Tom Brady on that. I would like to take an Uncrustable away. Are you cool with that?
Oh, from Tom?
No.
Oh.
To Michael. My 3-year-old, who during Football Sunday on our brand new, beautiful, large screen television that was given to us as a wedding present years ago, but we finally were able to go get this television, decided to take his T-Rex and throw it at the television, and it is now broken. And we got to get a new one. And I got to tell you, it is hard as a parent when you're dealing with a little kid who they don't mean it. He said sorry like 50 times, but he's 3.
Yeah, he's learning. He's learning life.
He's learning. But it's like, what do you do in that situation? Because you're so mad. You're frustrated. Now I'm also thinking as a mom, I'm like, was this a sign? He doesn't want to have football on the screen. Is he, this is the same kid who cooked my phone in the microwave.
Football. I'm so tired of it.
He's throwing his toys at the screen. Like, maybe the Uncrustable needs to be taken away from me. Maybe this is just a big sign. It's hard though, Chase.
It's Diana, parenting is so hard. We were gone for we left Thursday at 11 a.m. and got back Sunday at 11. So we were gone 3 days to this SEC Legends event, and we were in pure bliss without having to be the person to wait on our kids hand and foot. And that doesn't mean we don't miss our kids. But it was man, I actually really love you, Hillary. It's just, you know what I mean? And it was actually more for Hillary. Hillary, you really, I am actually a cool guy. I promise you, just because the kids are crazy sometimes, I am a cool person. And so just the reconnect. So I'll give a Uncrustable to both of us for that. And that's my last one.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. That is so not the tone of my household. So we could use some of those vibes here. Send them this way. If anything, it's just it's just a war zone right now. Just because you know how it goes.
Totally.
It's just
end of season 2, for sure.
Everyone's tired. It's the end of season. Everyone's tense. And really, as you know, because you're in this with me all the time, end season isn't really that grueling for me. It's about to be, right? With the coaching cycle and the free agency. So look, an Uncrustable to everybody just surviving right now with the holidays, just a day away, it feels like. So, all right, that was awesome. I'm glad that we got to see some decent football this weekend, because we're getting to that part of the season where, we know the winners, we know the losers, and we're really just trying to see how the seeding is really going to all lay out. So that, and on top of, we're going to be following this Bill Belichick story. So we will have the latest for you, hopefully on The Athletic, and maybe next episode we'll have some news there. So otherwise, we will see you guys next time.
Bye, guys. Tag me next time.